What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Riding the Wave with AYD.
MJ in the house, y'all better recognize.
Definitely recognize. And we got a special guest who we're going to allow to introduce himself.
Sergio.
What's up, Sergio?
Yo, Sergio, you gotta bring that energy, bro. All I hear is Sergio.
Hey,
What's your last name, Sergio?
Sergio Vera.
Sergio Vera in the house.
Yeah.
Hey, man, first of all, we just want to say thank you for taking the time to speak with us. If a lot of you may not know, Sergio has been a big contributor to us as far as getting people guests on our podcast. He sees a lot of potential in our podcast, so we want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we're grateful, Sergio. We really appreciate it. And to be able to provide the location to record, definitely blessed as we are in the church, you know. We want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate you.
No, man, no problem, man. Appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate it.
And today's topic is God's plan, and He has one for all of us.
But today our focal point is going to be on Sergio going from the streets to the church. So I know you guys look at this gentleman right here and think like, the streets? This guy doesn't look like he's from the streets. He looks like a fool that from Home Depot they just built my wall.
So what is this gonna be, MJ?
It's gonna be a doozy, but before we get kick things off, how's your current?
Man, good. It's good. It's good. It's good right now. It's just we get busy around here. You know, a lot of people have misconceptions of ministry, and they just, I don't know what they think at times, but it's a lot of things that happen during the week. It's not just a Sunday thing. This is a everyday type of life thing. This is the way we do our walk. So,
and we're definitely gonna get very in depth. So hold on to that.
Yeah.
How about you, bro? What's your current like?
Oh, my current has been great this past week. Definitely blessed. As you can see, no mask today, but still dedicated.
Okay, question. Why no mask?
Because even though I wear the mask, at the end of the day, it's just the mask. The message is, are you dedicated? And everything comes, in the way I feel, from within. You know, so all the changes come from within, and you project that to the world on how you're moving and how you're feeling. So right now I feel great being around two great energies right here, you know, MJ and Sergio. So I'm loving this wave right now. How about yourself, MJ?
Oh, bro. This week started off a little murky. I want to thank you for helping me out on Monday. On Monday, I had a flat tire. A nail got into my tire. The rim was literally off the tire, and I was a chicken out of his head because I didn't have no equipment. And the first person I thought was,
Hey,
where's this guy at? Where's my boy AYD at? And but he helped me out. He was able to take me to get a new tire and everything like that. Even though we had a bit of an adventure doing it, but thank you. But after that, our week has been going smooth.
Exactly. So go for it. Kick it off, MJ.
All right, well, let's do the cheers. Let's do the cheers.
It's water, everybody.
It's water. We're in God's house, everybody. We're in God's house.
Cheers to all you out there. Be safe.
And let's do shoutouts.
Yeah, I just want to shout out my church, man, New Life Community Church, and our lead pastor, Chris Rate, and the other pastors like Fedna, Mark, and Dave. Yeah, man, it's just always a pleasure to just work with those guys and be able to walk with those guys here.
Definitely. Well, I want to give a shout out to three people, Spencer and Flacco, for coming on to the podcast and sharing their story. We're grateful for it. Can't wait to have you guys back. And also to you, Sergio, shout out to you and everything that you've done for us and have been doing for us. You know, these past couple of episodes, we really appreciate it. Today, Junior.
So we got Stuttering Stanley in the house, everybody. And I want to do a shout out to the New Life Church. I want to say thank you to the church, to you, Sergio, to Spencer, to Flacco. I also actually want to say thank you to my brother Chris, because my brother Chris was the one that kind of reached us. You know, we're able to reach out to each other because of my brother. So I want to say thank you to my brother. I also want to thank my sister too. She's been a real big supporter on the podcast. She hasn't. I actually wanted her to come to this episode, but due to her work schedule and so forth, she couldn't make it because she's really big on God and religion. So I know this is something she would have loved to have been a part of, but she'll be on the next one. So I just want to do a shout out, and then to all our fans, all our listeners, thank you again for all of your support.
We appreciate you.
All right, so let's dive right into it. Yes, you want to pop it off?
Go ahead. Ask the first question.
Well, as we do to all our guests, let's get a brief background of who Sergio is. Where'd you grow up? Just give people just a brief introduction of who you are.
Man, brief intro. I grew up in Boyle Heights. Born and raised there. I am the youngest of. It was a total of 13 kids that my mom had. So she lost 5 of them back in Mexico, and the rest they still live. So it's 8 of us in total.
Wow,
youngest of all.
13?
Yeah. She was taking care of business, man. Yeah. So yeah, I'm the youngest of all of them. Yeah, it's just basic kind of. I guess it's just like my story is almost like everybody else's story. Maybe even similar to your story. It's youngest of 8 living brothers and sisters now. They're all immigrants. They're citizens now, but I was the only one that was actually born here. Yeah, that's pretty much just a quick little intro.
So, are you married, single, complicated?
Yeah.
Kids?
No, I'm married. Yeah,
okay.
I'm married.
So, all the ladies out there, this handsome man right here, he's taken. No ideas.
Yeah, I'm married. I have 4 kids and 1 grandson already.
Oh, beautiful, man.
So my oldest boy, he's 26, and my youngest is my daughter. She's 19. She'll be 20 soon. Yeah, they're doing good. They're definitely a lot different than what I was, but
it's a good thing though, right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. It's a good thing. 2 of them are in the military. My oldest boy and my youngest boy, they're both in the military. The oldest lives in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
He's stationed out there, and then my youngest boy, he's somewhere in the Middle East right now on deployment, and they'll be coming home. Hopefully, we'll see. Sometime.
What branch?
They're both in the Navy.
Let's go Navy! Thank you guys for your service. I served as well in the Navy. That's awesome. Thank you guys for your service. We appreciate you.
Yeah. My youngest, he's stationed out of Coronado down San Diego.
Okay.
That's where he's stationed. And then my second oldest boy, he's getting ready to apply at law school. So we're hoping that works out for him. And then my daughter, she's going to school for nursing, and it's a toss-up between nursing or being a school teacher, or merging both and just doing pediatrics.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So you got kids that seem like they got a good head on their shoulders, going in the right direction. Thanks to mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Congratulations on that, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
I know you must be very proud, bro.
Yeah. I'm happy, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I mean, I always kind of I look at them and I'm just like they don't even know it, but I admire them. You know what I'm saying? I look up to them because I'm just like, man, like they're doing everything that I wish I could have done. I wish I would have done, but you're doing it, and that's just as joyful to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
So you said you grew up in Boyle Heights. What was that like for you growing up?
Man, it was good. I mean, it was good. It had its ups and downs, obviously. Because it was during the 80s, during the 80s and early 90s, and people that are my age, they remember those days. It was not nice, People sometimes think things are bad right now. They're bad in their own way, but back then it was a lot different.
What? Just so you could bring a little bit of nostalgia to maybe someone around your age. What was different back then to it is now? I know mine is social media and things like that, but what is something that really pops out to you back in the 80s and 90s where you're just like, man, I miss that time?
I miss that time. I would say, man, it was good times. I mean, even now, I still think about them once in a while. But it was just like everything from like the DPs, the ditching parties. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The ditching parties were not like a ditching party that was like, okay,
Bro,
let's go.
when you said DP, I was like, bro, he had me going in a different direction.
No, and I don't mean like a ditching party. We're gonna go to somebody's house and we're gonna close all the doors and sit there and eat snacks. And no, this is like full on barbecue grills at DJ and everything. And it was going to different map points to pick up, flyers to see where it's at. So kind of like tail off the cops. There was a lot of stuff going on. All like the house parties. It was man, it was the era of like the party crews, the taggers, the tag bangers, the gang bangers. Everything was it was a combination, but it was a culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was the culture, and it was still a time of still having to be home when the street lights came on, type of deal, right? Kids played outside. Everything from going to my friend's house. That was like missing that, like going, hey, a salir, even a friend that you didn't even know his name, amigo, and you go to somebody's house and then he'll come out and everybody would just be like a little ball, just go and play.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because that's back in the day. I lived in the same era. I'm not that much younger than you. But definitely, like when you said the kids playing outside, that's the thing that I miss the most. Like when you go outside, you're playing, cops and robbers, you're playing tag, or you're running around, and you have like 15, 20 kids doing it with you. You know what I mean? Like that was amazing. Now you drive around, it's like there's no kids outside at all doing anything.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and it is depressing. But do you just think it's the reason why it's just after seeing so much things on TV as, kidnappings and things like that parents now are just so they're so traumatized that, they don't want they don't want that to happen to their kids, so
yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that has a big factor? Or do you think kids now are just a little bit more just because of electronics and things like that, they're a little bit more just not have that creativity, to go outside and just do things,
Yeah, I mean, think about it though. We still had electronics back then too. We had the old
Atari,
Super Nintendo.
bro.
We had the Super
Atari.
Nintendo. Atari, you were blowing in the discs and getting a Q-tip with alcohol to clean it out before you punch it in. You know what I'm saying? We had all that, but still, that didn't replace playing with your friends. It didn't replace riding a bike, and replace riding a skateboard, coming home all sucio with scabs on your elbows and stuff from falling and doing all it. Just there was nothing that can replace that. And I think nowadays it's just the kids are a little just too preoccupied. There's too much. They have too much access to too many things. Back then, I'm not gonna say that we were sheltered, but everything was done by firsthand experience. You got to experience everything firsthand versus you could experience everything on your phone now.
Yeah, that's
true. And no longer people can. It's almost like there's no need to leave your house. You can. They have it right there. They want. Back then, it was just like you want to see something, you got to go to it. You got to go figure out how to get it, or you want to try this, you're gonna have to go and do it. It's very different.
Yeah, it's there's maybe like a lot of distractions, you know what I mean? Distractions to, kids. As soon as you start looking at that phone, you get zoomed in, whether it's TikTok, Facebook,
Yeah.
So that's why you need to tune into Spotify, listen to Riding the Wave.
On YouTube and Spotify.
So, that part.
Yeah, we got to get you guys on Rumble next.
There you go.
So what was the relationship with your parents like growing up?
My relationship with my parents, well, I didn't have a relationship with my dad. My dad actually, my dad, man, rest in peace, man. He's he had his own trials, he had his own trials. And I love him because he was my dad, but that's pretty much where that's at. And that was kind of something that was given to me by my mom in a sense, like, hey, that's your dad. Love him and respect him type of deal. But that's about it. But I didn't love him in a sense to where I had a relationship with him. That's why I loved him. I just loved him because he was the human being that, in a sense, gave me life, right? That was about it. But he and my mom, they separated when I was like 4. I still remember when she packed up his bags. I remember him at the bottom of the stairs of like where these little, it was kind of like a little bungalow that we used to live on. It was just like a one room type of deal, a door to a restroom and the door to go in and out of the house. That was it. And I remember my dad, just being down there, just getting in his truck and putting the stuff in the truck, and he bounced, and that was it. You know, I would still see him periodically, every once in a while. Every once in a while. When I mean every once in a while, it was just like every few years. You know, every few years, and then I wouldn't see him anymore. But the relationship with me and him, there was really none. He was alcoholic. Unfortunately, he was an alcoholic, and then he had his he ended up like being with this other family, kind of that, you know. So it kind of drew us closer. Myself, my brother and sisters, my mom, and we stuck it out together as a whole. And so I'm a lot tighter with my mom, and a lot tighter with my sisters and my own immediate family, my brothers and all. But as far as my dad's, I didn't really have a relationship with him, and he passed away a few years back. So I think it's almost going on 6 years. Yeah.
Okay, so you said you didn't have a close relationship with your father. So was there anybody that you turned to as a role model or father figure when you were younger?
Jeez, as a role model or father figure, you know what? Not really, man. Honestly, to say the truth, it was just there was such a big age gap. Like, I'm gonna tell you how old my oldest brother is. Like, he's gonna be 64.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an age gap and a half, bro. So where it was just like, and then the sister that's closest to me, she's already in her 50s, so it's kind of like that. And when you're 10 and your oldest that's closest to you is already gonna be like, maybe it's already like 17, 16. I don't really want you around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're kind of doing their own thing. So it was kind of like that. So all my brothers, they had like their girlfriends. My sisters, they had their boyfriends, or they were working. My mom kind of she grew up. She was a hustler. Like, she grew up working.
What did your mom? That's what I'm asking. What did your mom do?
You know what? My mom, unfortunately, she only went to school up to, like, she says she remembers maybe until she was like 6 years old. She's from a rancho, so right there, the teachers would come in from the city and teach for a little while, like maybe a month, and leave. And so she was like a little spot where they didn't even have cops, they didn't none of that. And so she was uneducated. She didn't know how to read or write in English or Spanish. And so I would say, even because of that, life for her was twice as hard. Yeah, you know. So all she would dedicate herself was just like, they're straight up working in sweatshops when she got here. Like, I remember that she was like clipping strings, like strands from like shirts and stuff, for like a nickel or whatever per strand, or whatever that she would clip off. And I don't even know how they would gauge that type of pay, right, or where she was working, but she was doing things like that, cleaning houses. She used to work at this place. We had an old newspaper called the East Side Journal. I think I remember because we used to sit sometimes outside the East Side Journal office that they had. I think it was out here in Highland Park, and she would come out with her hands all like black with the ink from rolling the newspapers and putting them in the what do you call it, in the rubber bands and stuff like that. But basically, that's kind of like how she kind of geared everybody and pushed everybody towards that. My brothers and sisters, the option was you either work or you go to school, one or the other. Right. But it was almost like you had those options. And yeah, for me, it was sometimes the option was a little different. It was just like, you got to go to school. Tienes que ir a la escuela, you have to. Yeah, but.
So then how do you feel like that affected you, like not having a male role model in your house? Because I could imagine, as a young man, not having your dad around must have affected you in some sort of way, shape, or form. Can you kind of get a little bit more in detail as far as how you think it affected you? Yeah.
I would say it did. It did affect me to an extent. It affected me to an extent, and only because a lot of my friends, and even where I lived, a lot of my friends actually had their dads around, and so their dads were cool. Like my neighbor upstairs, one of my best friends growing up, like his dad, we actually rented our apartment from him, and his dad was the owner of the apartment, the little apartment complex, and his family, like, man, I love his family, man. They helped us out a lot, and his dad was a real good man. And so I mean, I looked up to like to him in a sense, right? And even my friend doesn't even know that, but I looked up to him. I looked up to my other friend, his dad, who was his cousin, and his dad, like, just my friend's dad. My friends don't even know this, but I would kind of see how their dads were with them. Okay. And you get what I'm saying? In my head, like, I used to even, like, fantasize, like, oh, man, you know, I wish I had a dad like that. I wish my dad, you know? Kind of like that, or like, man, they're lucky, like, that's cool, you know what I mean? But I would never say anything. I was a little kid, but it was always in the back of my mind. And so I would say in that sense it did affect me, but other than that, I think I just kind of came to accept it. I came to accept it because I do remember sometimes I would even get clowned, like, "Hey, well, you don't have a dad." Like, yeah, but that was another thing I missed about the '80s, though, man. Our skin was thick, boy. Like, it was, you know what I mean? It was like, we're gonna bag on your mama and everybody gets it. You know, there's no
if you
whole
don't have
part.
a dad, too bad, bro.
Yeah,
You're gonna get it too.
Yeah. Type of that thing, you know. Your mom's got one leg, then so well, like, it's just, you know, it's the way it was. But it kind of toughened us up. So yeah, I just basically kind of came to accept it. You know, I came to accept being called all the names, like, you know, like that, like getting called for not having a dad, getting called pobre, getting called all those things, bro. It was just what it was, you know. But it's all good.
All right. So I know growing up, like back in the day, like you were saying, we were able to do that, and obviously back then, because I know I did. Have some tight cliques with my friends and stuff like that, and we got into some things that we should have been doing, you know? Like, what are some of the things that you went through with your friends growing up, at whatever age?
Ah, man, well, when we were little, like, everything was just playing, you know what I mean? It was everything. When we were small, like 7, 8, 9, it was all about playing, having fun and playing, and sometimes our way of playing would be weird. Sometimes, like, we would get tennis balls, sometimes put alcohol in them and then light them and then throw them at each other.
Hot potato.
But then when they would hit you, it would be like you'll still be on, so you'll be like kind of doing this. But
I've never heard of that, bro. I've never heard of that.
It was just weird, like little things like that. But it was just, I don't know, it was whatever kind of gave that. I don't know, I would say like that little rush in a sense. Yeah. It's just way out stuff, but then that's why I would get injured a lot. You know, there was always like how my head cracked open and my arms cut because I fell off some side of building of something, and it was just always something. But
yeah, we used to do that when we were kids. Don't try this at home, kids. But we would, you know, lighter fluid on a tennis ball and then light it and throw it like
like juggling it, right? Until all the fuzz burned out. Yeah, you know, off the tennis ball. But
good times.
All right. Damn, it sounds like you had an adventurous childhood, bro.
Oh, yeah. But in between all that, it was just all fun. It was innocent fun. We weren't like terrorizing anybody. It was at that age range when it was just about playing and everything from playing sports after school, type of that deal.
Mm-hmm. And so earlier I asked you about your dad, and you said you came to accept it. At what age did you come to accept that, you know, my dad isn't going to be in my life anymore?
Yeah, I remember that. I think I was like 10. I think I was about 10 years old, and he came over. It was kind of like a random visit. You know what I'm saying? He came over, and I remember I was gonna even go outside and play, and I seen his truck, and he pulls up, and I'm like, oh, that's my dad, you know? So I didn't leave. I stood home, and he slept over. I believe it was like a couple of days, maybe like 2 days or something like that. And actually, me and my sisters had a conversation about this because I had told them, I was like, man, I still remember that. I remember when he slept over that time, it was like we were sleeping in the living room already, me and my brothers and my dad. He slept on the living room that day. I remember he was watching TV. I remember me kind of laying there and just kind of hugging him and even leaning my head on his stomach because he used to have a panza, you know? It was like one of those hard panzas, like a luchador. So it was like I laid on it, and I remember like, man, you know, I was happy. And then he takes off. And that was it. I didn't see him again. I didn't see him again until like this crazy situation happened. Like at when I was going to continuation school. I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. That's a trippy story.
Well, go for it, bro. Go for it.
Let's get it.
But then and there, after that, he kind of pretty much disappeared. And I just kind of was just like, all right, you know. I kind of came to accept the fact that, okay, he's not gonna be around. And that's what it is. This is what it is. And then I found out, I think it was just a few weeks ago, my sister told me that the reason he actually went to the house was because the woman that he was with was in the hospital at White Memorial.
Oh my God!
And so he just kind of needed a place to crash. So he went and he shacked up right there with us. And yeah, I was like, this fool. I was like thinking to myself, I was like,
adding more salt to the wound.
Yeah, right.
Like you were thinking, like, hey, he wanted to come at least see us for a little bit.
Yeah,
but the whole time he had a whole other agenda.
Yeah, there was a whole nother agenda, man. And so man, I get props to my mom for holding strong. You know, my mom, she held it down for us. But yeah, that was a trip. But I think right there at that age, I kind of pretty much accepted that. Like, okay, he's not gonna be around. You know what I'm saying? Because before that, I hadn't seen him in a few years, and then that happened, and then I started getting in trouble after that for a while, and I was into a lot of nonsense, right? And I ended up going to this continuation called SEA in Highland Park, and I remember during attendance, they call my name. You know, they're like, Sergio Vera, and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. And then they say, Gabby Vera, and this other girl's like, yeah, I'm right here. And the teacher, I remember, she's like, are you guys related? I'm like, hell no, I don't know this girl. You know, like that, kind of like that, my thinking, right?
Yeah.
Little did you
So
know
anyways, I'm going to school there for about a month, right? And one afternoon, I had this friend, one of my friends used to always go and drive me and pick me up, and you know, he'd be my ride home. It was like, so it was too much of a walk from Highland Park, or a bus ride from Highland Park all the way to Boyle Heights. It was just like I'd be out of bounds in every stop, bro. It was crazy, but he would go pick me up. But that one time, it was like no cell phones. He was late, and I'm like, man, he's not showing up. And I see that girl Gabby outside, and so I just started talking to her. I didn't really have a conversation with her before during school. I would just kind of go do my thing and take off. And so I started talking to her, and I'm like, hey, who you waiting for? She's like, oh, I'm waiting for my dad. And I was like, oh, all right. She's like, what about you? I was like, no, I'm waiting for my homeboy. He's going to come pick me up right now. And so anyways, up the alley, I see this truck coming, you know? And I'm looking at the truck, and I was like, the truck looks familiar. And then as the truck starts coming towards like where we're at, I'm like, yeah, that dude driving looks familiar. And then after, she's like, all right, I'll see you later. And I'm like, hey, where you going? And she's like, oh, my dad's here. She's like, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, I start laughing. I was like, that's your dad? She's like, yeah. I was like, that's my dad. And she's like, you're stupid. She's like, shut up, you know. And I was like, no, for real, watch. And then after, and I can see my dad's face, like, you know, and he recognized me, right? Because I hadn't seen him in a few years. And so I go up to the truck, and I'm like, ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué pasó? You know, and he's like, he sees me, he's like, he had this word that he was like, ¿Qué pasó, chavo? Like, you know, he'll call me like that all the time. And I'll be like, hey, you know, what's going on? I was like, yeah. So he's like, oh, so ya conoces esta muchacha, pues, you know, it's like, you know this girl already? I was like, not really until right now, but, you know, and he's like, oh, all right. He's like, so he's just kind of making small talk through the awkwardness.
Yeah, awkward, like, bro, yeah.
Making small talk to the awkwardness, bro. I remember it was just like in my head, it was just kind of like comedy. I wasn't even mad. I wasn't like, no resentment. There was
just
no,
like, bro.
It was just like, there was like zero feelings for anything, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, so you want to ride home? I was like, I'll take a ride home.
Yeah, it's the least you can do.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm already stuck. I mean, I'll take a ride home. And yeah, he ended up giving me a ride home, and then he was just asking about my brothers and my sisters and stuff and whatnot, whatever. And he dropped me off, and I think after that, I got a couple rides off him again, but that was it. And then I ended up getting busted again, and that was that. But I didn't see him again until after.
Did you ever keep in touch with your sister?
No, man. I've been actually as of recently, like for the past few years, I've been trying to like look for her on Facebook and social media, and I mean, I messaged a couple of girls like, hey, are you so-and-so? Do you know if your dad was this or this is my, they're like, no, sorry, you know, that and this and that. But I mean, no luck. No luck.
That's crazy, bro.
No
That's,
luck. So,
and even when that happened, like when you went to school the following day, it wasn't like you're my like, you know, we're siblings. It was just like, like.
yeah, it was just like, dude, I was in my own world. Yeah, I was kind of like in the I could care less type of thing, because in my head he was already out the picture. You know what I'm saying?
But the fact that you had a sister, though, that's what I thought would have.
Even that didn't matter to me. I was just, I was in zone. You know, it was another
mindset.
Another
because
mindset.
he actually.
Yeah, same thing with me. Actually, my best friend in 3rd grade was my sister, and I didn't even know. You know, so you know, I guess you know my mom hooked up with somebody, but he was in a relationship and he had his kids already, so nothing happened with him and my mom. I don't know if it was a one-time thing, but yeah, like I found out like in 3rd grade, like, well, my best friend was my sister, but I didn't realize it till I was like in high school, you know, in high school. And then like all my other brothers knew like that I had other like brothers and family and all that, but didn't say nothing. So I was a little salty about that. I was like, well, why did you tell me? Like, why would you keep this from me, you know? But as time went on, you know, I felt the same thing. Like, well, you know, like she's living her own life, she's having life, you know, like I got mine, like it's cool. I hope everything's like she's healthy and all that stuff, you know. So, I mean, for me, I know who she is. I know how to contact her and stuff like that, but I don't think she knows about the situation.
Yeah.
You know.
And why do you think it's so important? Like, why are you now so like ready to go out and try to find your sister?
Well, I told my brothers and sisters about it. One of my sisters isn't so accepting of the possibility of it. She was a little more attached to my dad than we were, and so I mean I understand, you know, where she's coming from. It's a little more hurtful for her. That wound is a little hard on her, right? But or the possibility of it, and I get it. But for me, I think it would just be cool, like to link up. Why not?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Why not? If some people will say, some people will deny it. Others, you know, now because it's kind of like out there a little bit amongst family, and so there's some people that are kind of like pushing away. No, there's no way. There's no way that's the truth. And but that's kind of way out because I coached a kid who when I dropped him off one time after practice. I was like, hey, this house looks familiar. Like, you live across the street from here? I was like, by any chance you guys know the man that used to live up there? Like, who, Mr. G? I was like, what do you mean, Mr. G? She's like, yeah, Gabriel. I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that's my dad's compadre. I was like, what? Yeah, then so his mom, this kid's mom who I used to coach, starts telling me like all kinds of stuff about my dad.
Oh, that's so your dad. Like, so your dad was Mr. G.
Yeah, Mr. G. It was like Mr. Belvedere, man. I don't know. I don't know if you remember that guy, but yeah, Mr. G. That's what they used to call him. But everybody else kind of like knew him or had some kind of story about him right there. So only up until recently, some of those things would kind of pop in. Like, man, everybody's got a story about him.
Except
or
me.
Something cool. Yeah, except me. You know, like growing up of how like he did this, and I remember that kid who I coached, his mom told me like how he gave her a dirt bike. I was like, man, give me a dirt bike.
This fool really give me a ride.
I was like, yeah, but I was like, that's cool, you know. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I would say that it's important for me because of that, just to kind of get some kind of connection. Just get to know her if that's a possibility. If she would want to, if she doesn't want to, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I've been okay this long without her, so I know I'll survive, right?
Right. Well, hopefully, maybe she's watching or her kids are watching, and this will help you guys get linked up.
Yeah. So I want to go now. I want to dive into the meat and potatoes.
The nitty gritty.
Yeah. I know by the looks of it, a lot of people are kind of be shocked when they start hearing this stuff about you. But so what brought you into the street life? What brought you into that culture, that lifestyle?
Oh man, I think it was For me, I would say it was everybody that grew up there. It wasn't, a lot of neighborhoods, they have like all these random people just from all over the place coming and joining or whatever like that, right? Right there, where I grew up, it was like everybody, we knew each other. They all know my mom, they know my sisters, my brothers, I know their moms, their brothers, their dads, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of us shared like the house next door, or there were neighbors. It was like that. And so it was everybody grew up with each other. And so it was different, but it was one of the motivators for me was the poverty, I guess, that I experienced, because although it was although people would call like Boyle Heights and places like this like low income neighborhoods or whatever, I don't really see them as that. They're still working class people here. You know what I'm saying? They might not be the suburbs or the suburbs that the rest of the world is used to calling the suburbs, right? But it's kind of, in a sense, it's our suburbs. You know what I'm saying? There's still homeowners in places like this. There's still people that have owned homes for generations already, and
or
so
business owners,
or
whatever.
Exactly, small business owners, and there's still and some of those people own the apartment complexes that you like my friend's dad. He owned the apartment complex that I lived in, and so it was that. So a lot of the people around me, they actually came from 2-parent households, and so they had, they had little things here and there. They had like they had their bikes, they had skateboards, they had all these things like that. A lot of the things that I didn't have, that I wanted and stuff. And I remember there was a lot of times where my friends would be like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the movies, we're gonna do this," and let's go. I'll be like, "Yeah, but damn, I got no money."
All right.
And I knew that if I asked my mom, I wasn't gonna get it. And then my mom, she was always working, or she was even working on the weekends, and she was gone. And my house was like, my house was empty a lot. It was empty a lot because everybody was either working or their boyfriends, their girlfriends. And so imagine, you got a little 10-year-old dude alone half the time, the majority of the day. You know what I'm saying? What's there? What else is there for him to do? So I just kind of started kind of hanging out with a group of friends that I had, and it was like 4 of us that were like the little kids that were always kind of hanging around, kind of getting thrown out of the park. Like when we would go and try to kick it with the homies, they'll be like, "Get out of here, stupid!" Go home, type of that. They were like, skills, ain't going home. We'll go around the corner.
Bro.
Yeah,
Sound
we'll
like
go around
my
the corner type
brothers.
of thing, right? Yeah, so it was kind of like that. It started with that because the neighborhood in particular wasn't like one of those areas where it was just, it was kind of like a hustle. It was a neighborhood with hustle. It wasn't, people weren't robbing people weren't stealing from the neighbors. It wasn't like one of those things, one of those type of neighborhoods. It was, we had our own thing that we did.
Yeah.
And so
Or community.
yeah, we had our own thing that we did, and I got just wrapped up in certain things, and when I started like that, it was because just like, man, I didn't want to be broke. It was like more like, I wanted to have shoes, I wanted to buy myself some candy if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to eat if I wanted to. If I wanted to go to the movies, I wanted to do this. So that's kind of like how that started. Kind of like led me down that little path of just kind of slanging. Started slanging, and then if you're gonna slang, then you're gonna be involved in other ways, right? And so kind of that deal.
Oh man, yeah, that's definitely tough. But I can see what you're saying, because I when I was young, I grew up in. I didn't grow up like up until 3rd grade. I'm not gonna do the math how old I am. I'm not good at math. But I grew up in the projects, and same thing. Like I was in the projects, but we still had that community. Everybody looking out for each other, our friends, father figure. Everybody like leading us in the right direction and stuff like that. But still, there was still that way of life. You know what I mean? Like the gangs, the drugs. And it was difficult. Was that difficult for you to stay away from, or was that always in front of you?
No, it was in front of me, and it was difficult to stay away because I wanted to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? And I can't say like nobody forced me into it. It's not like the homies, they forced me and there was no threats and none of that nonsense. So it was like, if you don't, you know, nah, it wasn't even like that. It was just like, you know, I'm already here. I'm already in it. Everybody's my friends. So you know what I'm saying? It was that type of involvement. And yeah, we all knew each other. And so we all grew up with each other that way. And so the thing about it is that everybody was older than me. You know, so a lot of them that I used to kick it with were all older than me. I would kind of say, like, when I started kind of kicking it a little bit more solid, like I was probably like maybe fifth, sixth grade, because I remember some of my homies would even come from like the high school and the middle school to come and kick back at our elementary school after school, and they would kick back right there with us. You know, and we'd be kicking back in the yard right there at the elementary school that me and my friends went to. And we would all just kind of hang out together. But they were my friends. I had, you know, what was the 11-year-old doing hanging out with high school
Yeah,
seniors?
like a 17-year-old, 16-year-old.
Nah, with 17-year-olds, you know, with middle schoolers. But that was us. That was the way it was. And
then,
I was gonna ask you, MJ, what about you? Did you experience anything like that, like when you're like growing up, or how was your?
No, I grew up in El Sereno, like a good portion of my life in El Sereno. So I mean, kind of like you, bro. Like when I grew up there, there wasn't too many people that were like banging or anything like that. It was just all this young kids just going out and playing and having fun. So it wasn't. I think it wasn't until I got into Palmdale. That's when everything changed. That's when like my atmosphere changed as far as being more involved with. But it was because growing up, my stepdad brought that to the house. And if it was never brought to the house, we would have never been exposed to it. And being such a young child and being so like easily influenced, it's like, of course,
yeah,
you know, you see these older dudes acting a certain way, dressed a certain way, and you want to be like that. You want to be cool like that, so you kind of imitate that.
Yeah.
You know. But like for me, I was gonna ask you, at what age did you make that decision that this is the path you wanted to go towards?
I think it was at that age, pretty much. Yeah. It was about like 11, 12, because I had already gotten arrested. I was already getting arrested. I had already gotten arrested for like possession for sales and all this stuff. And the cops were always picking me up when I was in the street. And then sometimes they would just pick me up for curfew. And they'll take me home. My mom would be like, "Well, yeah, llévenselo, you know, take him." She's like, "He don't even listen. You know, he don't even listen to me." And the cops would sometimes be like, "We can't take him because he hasn't did anything yet."
Yeah.
And she's like, "So?" And there was a few times where she actually would shut the door, and then I could be right there in handcuffs, kind of like looking at them, and they'll just kind of look at me, and they'll take me, and they'll drop me off around the corner, and they'll let me go. They'll be like, "Go home, and we see you, we're gonna take you in again." And I wouldn't even go home. I'll just go back. I'll go back to the park. I'll just kind of turn around, see where they're at, then I'll just start running to the park, and then go and just look for the homies, see where everybody's at again. But yeah, it was. I think it was pretty much at that age that I kind of already had my mind made up. I was even getting high already. You know, I was doing drugs already. And yeah, even more after that, like the involvement started getting a little deeper. Things started getting a little crazier. Late 80s, early 90s, things were getting a little more hectic. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like how did it make you feel? Like now you're part of the neighborhood. Did it change the way you felt? Because now it's like, now you have people to help you out. If someone's messing with you, it's like now it's just not just you fighting them off. Now it's you and your boys fighting them off. So like, did it give you a sense of like empowerment? Like made you feel a little bit more machismo or anything like that? No,
honestly, not really. Because we all grew up together. It was kind of like I felt like I already had them. You know what I'm saying? It was like I already felt like I had them, or like they had me in a sense already. My mind was already set on that. Like they're already my friends. So it was never really more like, oh, I wanted something to be a part of. It was not even like that. It was just like, these are the guys that I grew up with. This is what they're doing, so this is what we're doing, and we're in it. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. I felt like that was just the only other option. I had choices. everybody else had choice, because there's a lot of guys that grew up there too and they didn't get involved. But we also respected that, you know. We just like, there was nobody getting forced in or none of that. It was kind of that deal. It was already had my mind made up, and then even more after I got shot, I had my mind made up even more. You know, it just makes you angry instead of just kind of, you know, when things like that started happening, things started getting a little crazy, a lot crazier. That's kind of like when a lot of people just kind of start disappearing. People branch. They're like, oh damn, that was getting serious. But you know, a lot of us that were there, grew up there, we just we wrote it out, we stuck it out, and
at any point, like when you got into like someone shot at you, because I could imagine, I've never been shot at, bro, so I don't really know what that would feel like. But I would think that once I kind of experienced that near-death experience, like I'd be like, all right, I don't think this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
What kind of kept you going back? Like how many? How can I say? Like how many near-death experiences do you feel over your course of lifetime that you kind of experienced?
Man, it was a few. Yeah, it was a few. It was a few, but I mean, at a young age, I already knew like this is what it was. You know, there's a lot of people that even some people that I have spoken to, I'm just like, why do you get wrapped up in it? You know what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was just this is the only outlet in a sense. It's just like you're gonna get smoked. You're gonna end up being a lifer, or you're just gonna be in and out of jail. You could end up just maybe in just deep addiction to where you just lose your marbles and you're done, or you actually make it out with this, you know, and you live it out, and you're able to make peace with yourself and make peace with others and survive. And I think for me it was just that I thought this is gonna be me, and maybe someday I'll make it out of this. Maybe someday, if you know. But that was never really an option as I was growing up. Even after I got shot when I was like 13. That was never really an option. You know, I still remember the guy. They could have smoked me if they wanted to. I have a feeling it stunned them because I was a little kid, because they were older, you know. And I went up to the car. I'm like, "What's up? What you want to get?" You know, I thought I was a customer at first, and he kind of sees me and he's like, you know, but he sees me all gangster down, so he's just like, you know, kind of stalls, and then he pulls out a strap and he points it at me, and I'm just like, all right, you know. I thought I was it, because it was like, I mean, like 10 feet away, if that, right? I was already so close to the car, and so he had a good chest shot. I was just like, I mean, kind of stalled. I even stood, you know, kind of stood there, and I'm like,
checkmate
you're not gonna
type of
shoot
thing.
me? I'm out of here. I turned around and started running, and they just started dumping on me, man. They let me have it, and yeah, they hit me on my leg, and I remember even after that, kind of hopped a couple fences, you know what I'm saying? Went to my friend's house, and I didn't want to wake up his mom, so I'm like calling him, like, hey, you know, kind of, I'm right bleeding out. And he comes out. He's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Nah, I think they hit me." I was like, "Give me a ride to the hospital real quick," you know. And so he ends up taking me to the hospital and get a couple shots, you know. Cops are asking questions. I'm like, "I don't know nothing. Leave me alone," you know, type of that thing. And they were just still like pressing, and they think just because you're a little kid, you're gonna start dropping dimes or whatever. Like, man, I'm not. I don't know nothing about nothing. Like, leave me alone, you know. And that was that. And
what was the feeling of being shot? Like,
oh,
what was like? What was like, bro, like, you're talking it like it's so nonchalant. Like, yeah, you know, guys. But what was the pain? Like, did you feel any pain? I mean, obviously you felt it.
Yeah,
but like,
it was more like a kind of like, I don't know. It was a way out, man. It was like a quick, like a man, like just like a deep Charlie horse. Like, boom, you know, because it hit my bone.
Did the bullet go in and out or what?
No, it didn't go in and out. What it did is it hit my bone, and then it went down like behind my kneecap somehow, and kind of did that type of deal. And so as I was running, I kind of felt like the sting, all right, and then I started feeling my leg getting wet. And then I don't know why that image ran through my mind, but I remember that little spot where we used to, when I was a little kid, there was this one dude that he used to stand there. He would throw water balloons at us sometimes, like during the summer, messing around. Yeah. And when I felt the wetness on my leg, I thought of him like throwing a water balloon at me, because I was running like right. It was the same thing, and I was just like kind of like that. But it was just some cramping, some pain, and yeah, but that was it. It was more like, I think, just adrenaline, anger. I was mad. I was mad as hell. I was mad. Yeah, and I don't know if I would say. I mean, I was scared, obviously, right? Everybody gets scared, but yeah, I mean, other than that, it just felt normal. After that, it just started kind of healing, but little did I know there was something happening inside, and I didn't know that. But after I kind of healed up enough to walk around without crutches, I was already out in the street again, hanging out. Still had a scab right there in the back where the bullet had went in, and then I'm getting busted. I ended up getting busted again, and then this time they take me in, had some stuff on me, and they take me in, and they're like, "Hey, well, you've already been in and out too many times like this, so you either gonna go to YA, or there's another option that we have for you." And like, they sold me on like this group home, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna give you money every weekend and all these things and this and that," and it's just your mom already said you're good for it. If you agree to it. And I was like, yeah, I agree to it. You don't gotta give me that choice. Like, I'm gonna get to go home.
Okay, so what is YA? So
the California Youth Authority.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
and that's for people who are underage, right?
Underage, yeah. Okay. But you could stay there at that time. I don't know how they're doing it now, but you were able to stay there, if I remember correctly, even up to the age of 25 or 21. Okay. And then you get transferred over to adult prison. But yeah, so they kind of gave me those two options. So I was just like, man, I'll take the other option, obviously. Yeah. But anyways, what was happening there, I didn't find out, because we were gonna when I got to the group home, I was already there for a while. They were gonna take us on like some skiing trip, and my knee was starting to get swollen. And when I went to the doctor, they did another X-ray and then like an MRI, and they're like, "Hey, this bullet, it's been sitting on top of your artery this whole time." Oh, man. They said all you need to do is fall off those skis one day, or if you go on this trip, or somebody kicks you in the leg hard enough, it'll sever that artery and you'll lose your leg, or you're gonna die. You're gonna bleed out. You're gonna have no clue why. Wow. I was like, what? They're like, yeah. So that whole time, it was already almost like a whole year. And that whole time, that like a year and a half.
80's doctors for you, bro.
Yeah, but then I think back to like the procedure that they did there. Basically, bro, it was like back then it was like a revolving. That night when I got shot, there was all kinds of shooting victims there. I was in the ER to my left. There's a guy who was shot there. Another guy right here with the side of his face off, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? It was a bad night for a lot of us, right? That weekend, and man, it was a trip, but. Yeah, that's what was happening in there, and I didn't know until after. So they had to remove it. They had to cut the back of my leg open and take out the big chunk that was basically smashed and like had the edge just sitting like that, like right over the artery.
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Right. So I mean, it doesn't seem like that event pushed you away from that lifestyle. Was there a specific like traumatic event or a situation where you finally said, "Hey, you know what? It's time to get away from this"?
Yeah, I would say like after a while, it was more like a wake up call. I think like because even after that, I was in this group home for a while, and I was in a group home, but it was called like a placement. That's what they would call it back then, placement. But I say group home just to help people understand, because they're more familiar with that word. But I was basically there up until I was a senior in high school. I didn't have my middle school time out here. I was only in like 7th grade, I think, for a little while, and that was it. And then I was there all my high school years. When I got out, it was like I had 1 semester left of high school, and I had to do that. But then as soon as I got out, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to do good. But then I started kicking it again. It's just that you go back to the same place with your same friends, the people that you got love for, and you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like vice versa. So it's just that you don't want to be with them. And that's what it was. So, yeah, I still wrapped up again. Then in between that, all kinds of other stuff happening, right? All the street stuff that you can imagine happening. And then I ended up going to prison. I started kind of like, as an adult, kind of getting in and out of the county jail, and then ended up going to prison, get out of prison.
What was your longest stretch, bro?
I would say my longest stretch was when I was a kid. Being in group home, because that was like the most important days. So we're supposed to be the most important days of my life, right? But I mean, think about it. I didn't get killed that night. I could have gotten killed. I would have just been a little kid splattered in the streets at some time, right? If I would have stood out. But yeah, that kind of, I think that pulling away saved my life, probably, and right. But yeah, that was because that was almost like, I think I was gone like 5 years, and it was, I was not around my mom. I was not around my sisters. I would see them once in a while, but they didn't have a car really to come see me, and it was in Orange County, so I couldn't come all the time, and yeah. But other than that, everything else was like in the county, they'll give you like a year county lit or a violation, a year. So that was really nothing, and then just a couple years in prison, which was not too bad. Yeah.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. I've never been to prison.
Yeah,
I don't want to go there.
Not too bad compared to what other guys are facing.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And
Yeah.
so it's like for me to be like, yeah, hard timing. And nah, man, it's peanuts compared to what other people have had to survive.
Man, bro, I think I've been in jail a couple of times, and like I think I was in like high school. I got busted, and I went to what's that one in Silmar?
Yeah.
And I was in solitary, bro. I was in there for like 4 days, bro. I was losing my mind, bro. Yeah, man. I think that's probably the worst. Just being in captivity, in these walls, and I mean, I think eventually, obviously, you just get used to it, But man, like, I just knew at that time being a gangbanger or whatever wasn't for James. It just wasn't for me. Some people have it, some people don't. And I didn't have it.
I'm on that same boat, MJ, because I think the furthest I went was like the drunk tank, and I was good. That was good enough for me. I'm good. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the rest of the facility. The drunk tank is good for me. I'm out.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Oh man, and this is at 13, Sergio. I think back in those days, do you feel like back in those days, like, because of like the situation where you were at, it made you grow up that much faster?
Yeah, I think so. Especially because a lot of my friends that were older. Yeah, it was kind of like you're not getting schooled by another little kid, that don't know left from right. It's just like you're getting schooled by somebody that's older.
The big homie.
Yeah, like a bigger homie that's gonna kind of tell you, hey, nah, don't do this or don't do that, don't be stupid for whatever.
But how much of that did you honestly listen to, dog, from like one of your big homies? Like, how much of that really was like, all right, or how much like you're like, all right, yeah. How much of that did you really honestly, bro, like soak in, bro? Yeah.
Well, you don't. It wasn't. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they were telling me like, hey, gotta make sure you stay in school. Believe me, it wasn't none of that schooling. I'm talking about like streetwise, like type of deal. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You got to look out. Keep your head on the swivel. Pay attention to this car driving slow.
Keep your head on the swivel. You know what I mean? The less you say about certain things, the better. Mind yours and type of that thing. Right. It was like survival stuff in a sense, right? It was not like good advice.
Don't tell the cops anything.
Like, let me show you how to survive and hang in with us type of deal, right? It was kind of like that. Okay. And that's what it was.
The hard knocks.
And then how many of your homies you think have gone on? Like, how many homies have you witnessed that are no longer here?
There's a lot, man. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. I mean, Is there anyone in particular? There's more in other places, right, than in my place and amongst my group of friends. But yeah, there's a few. And
is there anybody in particular that it really got to you? It's like, fudge, like they got him.